Bannerlord can be a brutally hard game. Often you're outnumbered and massive armies march against you. Well, in this new series, we're going to work together, friends. What I want you to do is send me your difficult situations that you're either currently encountering in Bannerlord in your campaign, or something that you've dealt with in the past where you're just unable to solve it. I will do my very best to handle these difficult situations. I will share the results on YouTube, provided they have some kind of educational value for people. We will take on these difficult challenges, do some battlefield analysis, and hopefully help you turn around a very, very difficult battle. So join me on this adventure. Please send me your difficult situations. Have a little patience. I don't know how many there are going to be, but I'm willing to take these challenges on for you fellas as we handle your disasters of war. All right, friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, and welcome back again to another episode of our Disaster of War series. Indeed, this is episode 2 of this series. The first episode was essentially a siege defense. We limited it to that. Now we are going to try to help this fella recover his campaign. Now we're going to put his email up again, and I will succinctly explain basically what this fella told me. Malvior, I think I have his name correct. Maybe not. We could be mispronouncing it. Of course, again, you guys can help me. This guy wrote in and basically said he had a very depressing situation. It sounded like it was actually bleeding into his personal life. And so I took that personal and said, to hell with that, right? We're going to help this guy. We're going to try to help him write his Nord campaign. And it is a little bit depressing. It's a bit of a mess, but it's far from a impossible situation. And this is precisely what this series is for, is to collaborate with you fellas and try to help you through bad situations. So let's figure out our situation here. We're going to spend about 20 minutes at the beginning of this episode, maybe 30 minutes, basically doing admin, trying to sort out what we have, what we need to do, what assets we have, and we're going to try to make sense of a pretty difficult situation. Now, this is his castle, right? He is a vassal for the Nords, and we have a new king. The king, it looks like, died of old age. We are at war with 2 different kingdoms that are much stronger than us, and at least in the short term, we're not going to be trying to influence any kind of diplomacy. We're basically going to let them do their own thing. This little area here, this tab, tells you a lot about somebody's campaign. In this instance, we have tons. It looks like we have tons of food. This is your speed. This guy is highly encumbered. It says hurting minus 2.56, so we'll have to explore that a little bit. His financial situation when we took over was dire. It basically said he was broke. The loan sharks were heading to his house immediately with machine guns. And because of this siege defense that we made here, I think we even have the Emperor. Yeah, we have the Emperor captive. So we took a bunch of Northern Empire forces prisoner in a big siege defense. Apologies if that's a bit of a spoiler for you. We were able to defend his castle. I think this is his only fief. I would guess so. The whole kingdom only has 6 fiefs. So the Nords are in bad shape here. They have 2 cities and 4 castles. And I think if we remember, yeah, the Valandians have just surged across the north part of the map here. We have armies. These are his companions. So that's a nice source of support here. These are your companions. These are player companions in a campaign like this where you can have them make armies. And we are going to call them to our army because this is free. It looks like he has proper captains assigned. There's 1,001 things that we could cover in an episode like this, and I'm going to try to be coherent instead of just rambling incoherently. We've got to figure out a bunch of different things all at the same time. Now, fiscally, he's okay, but we want to take loot to the city. We have Hargard right here. That's a couple days march in the snow. We're going to head there. Thronderlag, we've got to figure out the workshop situation. It looks like he's making money already on his workshops, and workshops are significantly increased in Bannerlord. You can see they're all making money here, but he is not supporting them with subsidized items. Basically, grain turns into beer. The workshops are basically a transmutation from wool into felt, and you have the potential to increase the workshop profits by putting raw products into the warehouses. So we will talk about warehouses in today's episode. We will talk about garrisons. Let's look at the strategic situation quickly. The Northern Empire we're at war with. They're theoretically a threat, but we're working them over here. If they're going to attack anywhere, it's going to be here, right? This small Nord army is sieging. That's going to be attacked before us, right? There's another army right here. They're gathering. That's a good sign, right? So we have a little bit of a buffer. Our castle's tucked away here a little bit. There's a city here between us and the Valandians. I'm just going to call these player clans to us right away. Not player clans, but companion armies. We're organized by cost. You can see it costs 0. It costs no influence to call them, and you really don't want them under control of a noble out there. They will do all kinds of horrific shit to your companions, all kinds of menage a trois and other offensive things, and they'll get them captured and all your troops lost. Here, we can even glance at their troops. Look at this. This guy's got 25 of the tier 5 archers. We're definitely ordering this guy, get over here. Right now, there's a chance they get captured. There could be Valandian forces in here where they don't make it. They miscarry on the way here, but we're going to call them right away. That doesn't affect our influence. That's key. And that's going to help us fend off Northern Empire forces, right? Northern Empire is probably going to be a problem, if not in today's episode, in future episodes. This is probably going to be a 3 or 4 part series, right? This is going to take a few episodes, and I'll try to break them up into nice bite-sized chunks for you. Some fellas like the longer episodes. I like 45 minutes as a good length estimation. Now we can get additional information down here. It says we have 3 ships. I can't tell what kind of ships they are. You cannot access your fleet while you are on land. So I'm formulating a plan here, right? Part of it is admin. We are going to, let's see if we have anything. Some players use their stash. Let's see if he's got any. This looks like a store. His stash, so it looks like we got a hoarder here, and I mean that in the best possible way, brother. This guy's got all kinds of stuff. We're taking all of these banners. We need these banners. You need these banners on your companion for battle, right? We're going to have battle at some point. I'm not going to spend a lot of time upgrading the equipment, and honestly, it looked like this is kind of cool. It's rare armor. It's not very useful though, right? It looks sexy. Like this would be a lot better for this guy's protection, but I don't want to spend 20 minutes and waste your guys' time with this. I'm just going to do a quick scan here. This helmet is great. It's not the strongest helmet, but I'm going to roll with it. I just think it looks great. And so he's got some companions that are basically, they're not equipped. I don't want to spend a huge amount of time here, but this gal, clearly she needs a bow. The black is typically they're like a gangster type. That means they're we've got really nice stuff here too. Let's see, we need to sell shit. Money is a situational problem, right? We need to run to Hargar and sell a bunch of shit. We should be able to though, right? We just captured all those nobles. In fact, the more I think about it, we're fine because we're going to get a huge amount of money from all those nobles when we run to the city. Let's just slap some equipment on her real quick. We'll slap her around here. I am an absolute menace. If I ever get terminal cancer, my last 3 months of my life, I'm going to assassinate serial spouse abusers. I despise men who beat women. Talk about a vile thing. You got these physically inferior women and you beat on them. If anybody's doing that shit, man, seek therapy. That shit's fucking wrong. That little side riff was brought to you by my caffeinated brain. All right, so she's in at least a little better shape here. We can slap a... I guess we shouldn't make jokes about it either then. We will gently place a helmet on top of her head. She's got some decent armor here, and I just told you I wasn't going to do this, and here I'm doing it. All right, good enough, right? We've got a nice companion mix, and a lot of them, it's like drool-worthy. Like, holy shit, man, this is some incredible gear. And we're not gonna, say, hey, he's using the console and he's cheat codes to get this equipment. We don't know, right? The gear in Bannerlord now is insane. It really is through the roof nice. And so who knows, right? This might just be the shit that he acquired in his campaign. So we're not even gonna go there, friends. And you know what? His companions are fine. Let's just roll on. However, I don't want to sell his nice shit, but I'm going to grab a few things here. See this piece of armor? It doesn't even protect your legs, right? So you get shot in the thigh, you bleed out, you get shot in the penis, it hurts like hell. We're just going to take a few of these expensive items that he's not going to be able to use. He doesn't have anybody on a horse, so we'll sell the armor. That's worthless. I just want to have a few things that we can pawn off here because money is an issue, right? We're going to have to pay for an army, and we're going to recruit all along the way here. One of the critical things at this stage is collecting money so that we can build an army, so that we can smash more people to collect more money, so that we can build an army, etc. Just what the English did for 200 years. All right, so here's the other thing I'm thinking too. We need to see if there are any resources in his stash. He has a whole store there, it looks like, so we should be able to get some resources here because we'll spend 2 minutes on this. I'm not a workshop expert, but I do know that you can subsidize these by clicking this button. So the first thing you do is you automatically click these buttons. This enables your little workers in the towns, right? They're working 16-hour days to go down to your warehouse and pull these raw materials to turn them into money, essentially. This right here, you can have them basically keep in case you want to compile a bunch of linen in your inventory for some reason. You can just say, yeah, I want 100% of what you guys make left in the warehouse. Well, we don't want any of that, right? We want them selling all of it at the market. That way we make money, right? He's already profitable. And his workshops are doing pretty well. They significantly increased workshops. So let's see if we can remember all this shit. This is a good memory check for us old guys. I usually can't. We need iron. Thronderlag is less a priority because we can also buy shit at Hargart. So we need olives, iron, flax, wool, and grain. You got all that? Let's see if we can remember that shit. Now you go to the raw, this shit right here, the raw. Well, we have lots of grain. In fact, this guy's been majorly hoarding. We need to dump some of this shit. In fact, what was the hoarding? The herding. See that herding penalty? This is like trying to open up a dog walking business in New York City and getting 450 dogs on your first walk. You're definitely causing a traffic accident, right? Your dogs are just tying you in knots. He's got a hoarding problem here, and I mean that in the best possible way, Malvior. He's got hundreds of horses more than you can carry, so we got to get rid of them. That was why his inventory capacity was like thousands, tens of thousands above normal. Now that looks a lot better. The herding penalty is virtually gone. He's got a few too many prisoners, and he's disorganized, but his speed will be okay now. Now that we've dumped a bunch of horses in here, let's go back to the goods. And this will be an especially good memory check because we just interrupted our brain. So I need olives. I remember that one here. Let's do it by number. We need iron. That goes to Thronderleg. We need wool. He's got a heaps of stuff here. We're going to make his warehouses nice and profitable here. What else was there? Oil, olives, iron, wool. You guys are, you young kids that remember, like, how can you not remember, you old dude? Were you that decrepit? Well, when you're 50, shit starts to slip a little bit. Give me a break. I think that's it. Let's just double check. We don't need to test our memory that much. Grain, we got grain, wool, flax. Oh, flax we need. Flax, olives, and iron. I don't think there was those last things. Flax, olives, and iron. And none of that shit. Okay. And let's just take some of this shit right here, right? This is good for your steward skill, right? We haven't even talked about this guy's character spec. In fact, we have tons of skill perks to upgrade here, and I'm going to do these because you can always respec these, right? After I turn the save game over to you, you can come over and change all these. We'll look at this in a bit. Let's focus on commerce first. Let's get his money situation good. We've called these companions. Let's hit a few little villages on the way. We're not encumbered. We're not hemorrhaging troops. Everything is good, right? We're healing. Do we have any companions to call? I think everybody's doing shit. It looks like attached. And we've got a wee one at home. Our wife is part of the army. All right, let's speed this up now. And what we're doing at this stage is basically commerce and hoping the Nords can pull their own weight, right? We've just done the heavy lifting. We already sacked the Emperor. We're toting around the Emperor behind us. We're going to pick up little Nordlings at all the villages, and if there's easy quests, we'll do them. Also, I guess I shouldn't waste too much time looking for stuff in the town, in the little villages. You can actually, here you go, right? There's a sheep right there. I think that generally means wool. right? Maybe not. Isn't there a wool sign? No, I think there'll be wool right here. It says primary production, sheep. I think there'll be wool there automatically. I think that's how that works. And we'll add that to our workhouse, right? The idea here, obviously, is to get his warehouses as profitable as possible. Our companions are moving across the frontier, getting rained on. And we have, you know, a little bit of time, probably before the Northern Empire strikes back up with a force to the north here, right? They just got shattered, a huge force. And beautiful, right? We'll take the wool. Now, we don't want to get encumbered here, but I'll take this other shit too. Now, I don't think if you slaughter sheep, you get wool, right? The sheep themselves don't create wool. It's the village. No, we don't want peace. At least not until we get to the... I'm not going to click this at all. This little thing here, courier bearing peace, that's the Northern Empire saying that they're willing to give us peace. And part of the reason I think they're willing to give us peace is this shit. Well, yeah, you can have peace after we ransom your ass, right? And some guys are like, hey, put a couple of those in the city's dungeon, and you know the notables will like you. You go here and you go to dungeon, donate some prisoners, and your relation generally goes up, right? You get some influence. The influence is nice. We're gonna get influence through battle, but we get relation, right? And that can help you with everything from charming nobles to join your kingdom later, or it could help you actually get fiefs. When we take fiefs, when we acquire new ones, you can end up on the vote more readily. All right, so let's go to our warehouse and I see if test my memory here again. We do flax, wool, and grain, right? And I think I got that right. The other one was iron and something shit like that, right? Some kind of shit like that. Iron and what's the other? Oh, olives, right? So we need to buy olives if they have any. And this is just the fetch it quest, right? We're basically, let's see if they have any incredible gear. It seems like the cities now have insane gear. And as soon as I said that, it's ordinary. We got to sell some shit. There's a lot of shit involved with Bannerlord, right? I'm sure some new players' heads are spinning. Feel free to pause and rewind, ask questions. If I don't answer it, there's probably other people who know the answer. And flax. So they're going to be able to draw flax already. We could just buy this and corner the market. Flax, wool. The city already has some of this shit. It's interesting. And then iron. We need some iron. And what was the other one? Olives, right? Okay, we bought the olives already. Now let's sell some shit here just so that we have excess cash. You can also just go to like shields and stuff like that and organize it by numbers. And then I'm not going to sell any of this guy's in really nice equipment, but you know, when you have 37 hook javelins and shit like that, you just click, 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 click. And the best thing to do for your campaign is for sure to go through here and lock off the things that you want to keep. That's what this little button is for. And then do this thing. Sell all that shit will be transferred over. The reason I don't want to do it is that'll take a long time to do. And I don't want to waste your guys' time any more than I already am. Just click, 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 click. We had some valuable shit that I wanted to sell too. Some bent, anything that's bent. This stuff, honestly, like these legendary shield is not really a thing. It just doesn't benefit you that much. There's some things where it's the moniker legendary, where it's amazingly valuable. And then there's other stuff where it says legendary, where it's trash. Now we're going to get rid of the armor that doesn't protect our penis. This is mediocre armor to the legionary male. We'll find better shit than that. This stupid helmet, goodbye. Some more other stupid shit here. Goodbye. We don't have any horses, so we're going to sell the cavalry armor. This is mediocre armor. I don't need to... In fact, we've already taken all the money from the town. So we're good here, right? We'll take their fish. And you know what? We'll just buy some of their flax in case later on the city runs out. All right, so 70 grand we make just like that. We made a bunch of money for selling nobles, and just like that, our financial situation is better. We already got that. All right, we get a save in here, and we'll try to pick up the pace here as we cruise now to Thronderlag. And this reminds me of a question I saw on Reddit. I should have got our ships. Never mind, you can't get anywhere from this river. At some point or other, maybe from Thronderlag, we will sail back, right? We're going to use his ships. It looks like he has 3 ships. It's hard to know what kind of ships they are. But I saw this post on Reddit, and this guy goes, what am I supposed to do? We have peace with all these different kingdoms. And as soon as I saw it, I knew the answer. It's just, you know, it's classic realpolitik. what do you do when there's peace in Bannerlord? You prepare for war, right? Because war is coming. We're still at war, even though theoretically there's this calm, right? We're obviously going to have combat, maybe not in this episode, but soon. We're going to be battling, and we'll help this guy here. What's he? He cornered some Valandian guy. Come with us. There, see, we have battle. Off with your head, dude. Let's wreck this guy's campaign. I love the devious side of Bannerlord. Now, we're not going to take any cavalry. I don't know what he's doing here, but this is pretty obvious to me. I don't think he said in his episode, right? I'm trying to do no cav, but we're going to honor what looks to be a no cav playthrough, right? We're going to try to, when we take over guys' save game, I feel a little bit like I'm staying over at their house, right? Even though we're going to sift through their laundry and see if there's shit stains that we can wash out, we're gonna do so respectfully, right? We're gonna tell thousands of people on the internet that they got shit stains that we gotta wash, and then we're gonna just do it, right? We're gonna take care of business. Now, I don't think we'll get voted for anything, right? So we're not gonna waste our influence. We need to build up influence through war. We're just not gonna be able to do it any other way. And of course, that's the primary way to build influence, as we get a thunderstorm here. Now, we're still looking for, for goods to put here at the warehouse. And it'll be interesting. The workshop's already up to 2,100. So just like that, well, it's fluctuating. I think it started at 15 or 1,600. And one of the great things about workshops is basically a savings account. It's almost like an amateur attempt by Tailworlds to teach younger people the benefit of compounding interest, because a workshop costs like between 20 and 30,000, right? One of these guys here, you go in, I'd like to buy a workshop, and that money you pay up front, and it's expensive, and basically then it pays you a dividend, right? It pays you X amount of money per day. And look at this shit, right? This one, we haven't even put the goods here yet, and it's making 700 a day. So if it costs you 30 grand, what's it pay for itself in 40 days, right? 50 days. They're much more profitable than they were before, and I think people complained, right? I think there were a number of people that were like, what the fuck? My workshop makes 80 gold a day, Tailworlds. Is this supposed to be a game for fun, or are you trying to torment me? And they tinkered with the system and made it work right. A lot of people like to give Tailworlds a hard time, but they're definitely making improvements across the board. All right, let's look for good equipment here before we go. Now, we can't really buy expensive shit. I want to mention this, too. Some guy said, where'd you get that axe? The Swift Wing axe. This is a really nice axe. We're not going to buy it here. We have a money problem. But these are just in towns. Like, there's some incredible equipment these days in towns. In fact, we'll buy that because it looks amazing and it's legendary. There's more legendary sky chain armor, and it's cheap, right? This is really good armor for 15, 18 grand. Even though we have a money problem, I'm still going to buy it, right? We can always just come in here, again, sort by number, and we sell a bunch of battered leathered boots, and they give us priceless legendary armor, right? It's like it goes in a museum, and they're willing to trade a bunch of dented splint boots for legendary sky armor, right? Achilles wore this armor 10,000 years ago, and they're willing to trade it for some banded leather armor that stinks of bandits and shit like that. It's a funky system. Here I am trashing Tailworlds after I just said they're great. But the bottom line is take advantage of it, right? If the towns are going to have great stuff, you want to take advantage of it. Let's go to port. Let's see what he's got here. Let's call our fleet and wait. We've got these guys here. Make peace with the Valandians. I'm not going to even answer that. Presumably, we're going to get peace with the Valandians. It's free. I would imagine that our nobles, which typically tend to be pacifists, are going to take that. Meanwhile, we're going to go sack down here and sail to Northern Empire territory and sack and rampage a little bit. Now, we're thinking offense pretty soon, right? We don't have a lot of influence, but we're going to start gaining influence. I'm trying to think how we gained 40 influence. I didn't even see what happened. But we're going to start winning battles. We're going to start trapping inept. We're overburdened. That's why we're moving slow. What did I think it's just the nature of ships. Not... Oh, we do have peace. I thought he decided not to. The ship's encumbrance is much lower is much more difficult, and that is because instead of the animals helping you, I think the animals, obviously the animals are on the boat, right? So instead of the animals carrying all your ship, now your ships have to carry all the animals. There better not be more peace, otherwise I'm just gonna have to have a period of waiting here. We don't really have the capacity to go out and cause more war. Obviously, we're not gonna get voted for any fiefs, at least not right away. We want war, otherwise you guys are gonna fall asleep, right? You're only gonna watch commerce for so long here. And on the commerce side of thing, we're kind of good, right? The workshop income is ripping 2,200, right? We're starting to do pretty well. And now we can really start to acquire a large army, right? We're going to max out our characters here, right? When we go in and look at our character, 192. In fact, right before we get to shore, let's spend 2 minutes on his character. What do we have going on here? So let's spend a couple minutes on this. This is a player companion, and she is spec'd. It looks like it's intentional. We'll just assume he's a brilliant strategist planning the whole campaign, right? He has spec'd at least this gal to be a party leader, right? She has medicine skill. He's got multiple different healers in his retinue. And they make for pretty good party leaders because that medicine skill obviously helps their army suffer less casualties. There's a slew of different benefits that come from being a medical party leader, right? You get, well, that one, the bottom one, for example, plus 20% party healing rate while waiting in towns. There's a slew of different benefits for them, right? If they get hit by siege weapons, 50% less chance of getting killed. So it's really beneficial for you to level up 2 or 3 healers because a couple of them can eventually become party leaders, like she is, party role. She's in charge of a party. And then eventually a player clan leader because she'll have a good-sized army in your campaign, marching around and doing good stuff. And so I like to do some of these, right? It makes sort of a T. These 3 here and these 2 here, I like to work on these skills because when they're fighting by themselves, they need tactics. This helps them gather a larger army, right? You go up here, increased party size by whatever. This helps their troops survive. This obviously helps her siege, etc., etc. We don't care that much about this stuff, right? She's way more valuable leading a party in that instance than she is throwing her little pitiful throwing axes. Now, our main guy is doing both, and he's a little bit of a hybrid, but he's clearly more of an offensive weapon. That said, right, we just got his engineering powered up, so a lot of these don't matter too much. In fact, this one I think is utterly irrelevant, and I'll explain real quick. See this governor? This currently does not work for the main character. Your character, for whatever reason, cannot be assigned as a governor, and that is because the governor has to stay in the city. The engineer part, these are identical, the lower one, right? The top one is the one on the left, the bottom one is the one on the right. So this is absolutely irrelevant. You could just click it blind. Some of these are very important though, right? That is pretty nice. 20% minus chance from siege bombardments. You get hit by a huge fire catapult. In fact, to me, this is a very obvious choice, right? The top one, minus 50% loss of armies when besieging. You're going to be doing this a lot in a campaign, and the Nords have a problem with army cohesion. That is their cultural trait negative. So this helps you keep your army together. Basically, all your Nords are trying to run around. They're like, let's go over here and raid this village. And your guys like, come on, we got to stay together. Let's stay organized. And you're having a hard time doing it. Well, obviously, this helps you during siege. Your little cohesion thing doesn't crater. The bottom one is really nice too. So that one's just an automatic perk pick. This one right here, he's using throwing axes. So we're gonna use this bottom one here. And let's see, this is athleticism, and this is beautiful. We just got this guy, all these in that one siege, right? We got a huge amount of different skills. I personally really like this one because you're going to fall, and sometimes you're going to take a lot of damage. And a little bit harder to choose. This one benefits all the troops in your formation. This would be my preference. You see how this one affects your food? We don't give a fuck about food. Lots of food. This one makes all of your troops in your army, in your captain division, 5 armor to all equipped pieces, right? So I don't know exactly the math on that, but that reduces the damage they take significantly. And this one is huge. Extra hit points, right? We just got this. In fact, I mentioned it during the siege. He got hit by a single javelin and half of his health vanished, right? So I'm not going to spend 2 hours again on perks. This episode could be 6 hours if I just rambled on all the different things here. Undoubtedly, I'm going to make some not optimal choices because we're trying to move quickly. But at the same time, he can come back in and change it later on. Now I do get to assign this, and this is pretty juicy. I think I'm going to push this. I think once you guys see high endurance on a character, to see is to want, to see is to have it in your campaign. You're going to want to, once you see guys running around with 300 athleticism, you're like, what is that? It's like the first time when you were 16 and you saw a hot blonde cheerleader. You're like, what is that? And how can I get some of that? It is just an amazing trait to experience. I'm not going to waste too much time on it. So this is another guy that he's using that could be a player clan leader though, right? He's got a lot of the attributes. He's a shitty fighter, right? This guy gets his ass kicked. He looks like a dipshit. They take his belt from him. They're like, you're no super champion. They take his belt. But he's going to be a capable party leader. And it also, this guy's our steward, right? When you go into the party specialists, that is his quartermaster, right? The quartermaster is like your seneschal. He's your manager. He's the guy organizing your troops and stuff like that. In fact, he's got all specialists except the engineer, which he's pretty good at, right? And this is a good thing to do, right? A newer player, make sure you're doing this because when you hold it over the little icon there, it shows you all the benefits that this gal is delivering to us. We track armies better. She sees them further. There's a host of different benefits you gain. When you go on to the medicine gal, she's helping us in all sorts of ways, right? Healing rate increased for troops 225%, right? So our troops are rapidly healing. All right, I think that was enough time for companions. We can do a couple more points here, but I'll just blaze through there. He's got a giant afroed archer, it looks like, with a huge axe. I like it. And we'll just blaze through some of these. Again, he can just change these later on. And this is another healer? Oh, this is the original healer. This is his primary healer. So this is... Okay, so here's a good example. Let me spend 10 seconds, 20 seconds on this. If you have a healer that is designated in your party area right here, right? It's tempting to say, yes, every perk that she gets benefits our whole party. That's not how it works. You get every perk that applies where it says, let me see if we can explain it. Let me take it back to there. This is the exception. When it says party leader, see this top one, plus 10 hit points to other heroes in your party. If I click this, we don't get that because she's not the party leader. Now the other gal will, right? That gal that we looked at earlier, what was it, her? So it's a perfect example. Now, how many other heroes are in her party? 0, right? Because they can't have heroes in their party. So the only thing that perk does is give you 5 extra hit points. The top one reduces the chance that they die. This perk is not that big of a deal either way, but I wanted to illustrate that point. And it's really important when it comes to this. This skill here is one of the most overpowered skills in the game. Minister of Health, plus 1 hit point to troops for every skill point above 250. Once you get to 330 medicine skill, like your main character, 80 extra hit points for your troops. And of course, I have plenty of experience with it. Your army is unbeatable. You just smash everything to the sea. Your companions cannot deliver this skill to you. In other words, to your army, right? You cannot push them to 300, assign them as your surgeon, and get that perk. The only way you can get it on your army is through your main character. Just want to make that point. I spent the first half of a year, maybe even a year, playing Bannerlord, not understanding that. There's a lot of guys out there probably who think, I just got to get this healer to 300 and then we're going to be ripping. We'll get all these benefits. It's not how it works. I hate to be the guy to tell you that Santa Claus doesn't exist, but he doesn't. Now, whale oil. Whale oil is a new little luxury item that you can take. I presume like whale oil you can take to the Aserai, right? And it's 50,000 a barrel or something like that. That's probably how it works. All right, so That was the administrative side. And things are much better, right? The workshop's 2,300, pushing 2,300, right? We are now nearly profitable every day. Part of the reason we're not is that we have a lot of forces here. In fact, I haven't looked. We glanced a little bit, but these are all our troops. We have cons guards. It's good to start looking at the army here, right? Because battle is imminent. Oh, whoops. That's right. We got some ships. These are the ships. We got a long ship, and a Drakkar, right? These are the huge warships. So at some point or other, maybe we'll get on the water in this campaign, right? It's going to have to be the right scenario. They're all badly damaged, so we got to do some repairs. But all in all, right, this guy's campaign is just fine, right? He's got good companions. He's got good equipment on good companions. He's got a good primary character that looks badass. Can we just say he looks badass? Because he does. Who wants to get hit by that? Anybody want to raise their hand? I don't think so. And he does have some Nordlings in his army, right? He's got some lower level troops, but he's got cons guards. He's got Sky Gods Chosen. This dude, you're doing great, dude. And I'm not saying that because I pity your situation, that you were feeling down on yourself. That is objective. You're doing a lot better than a lot of players. Trust me. I'm proud to say that if this is the result of someone watching our channel, you're on the right path. Just because you were having a hard time with an army of 2,000 or whatever it was, he did not mention whether or not he fought out the siege against the Northern Empire, but presumably, he was getting knocked around a little bit, right? And that's perfectly understandable. It's time to kill. Look at these guys. They got archers. Let's glance here real quick. You can just hold it over there. 261 archers, 450 infantry. What do we have? We haven't really looked at our army composition. We have a nice mix. And it's time to start considering calling some armies to us, right? So we have enough influence to call 1 or 2 forces. It's an investment. You call forces to you. It costs influence. But then we smash a huge force of Northern Empire. Not only do we get accolades and we get laid and we get loot, and we prevent them from fucking up our kingdom, but then we get influence as well, right? We get more influence so we can call more lords so we can get more influence, etc., right? So let's call her. Let's first see what she's got. Archers. Okay, that's good. We like that, right? That's going to be good tactically. I'm going to recommend, in fact, both of these armies here. So for 41 influence, we can add these two, and they have a lot of archers. These 2 armies alone should help us defeat this Northern Empire force. Now, they're slow, right? They're going to be really slow, even though aren't we carrying thousands of pounds of wool and a bunch of other shit? They're still not going to be able to catch us. They're trudging through the snow here, and they're very soon to die. Now, I've got enough time here, I think. Maybe not. Where are they going? They're probably sieging, right? Yeah, of course they're sieging. These knuckleheads. Now, I also don't want peace. I want at least one battle here before we get peace. And we might even engage. I think we're gonna. We have cons guards. Let's engage before the siege starts. And the benefit of that will be, there will be multiple benefits, right? One of the primary benefits is we'll be able to set up our army. When you engage in a situation like this, and we're going to recruit all the prisoners. When you engage in a situation like this where the battle is already underway, you don't have time to set up your divisions beforehand. Here, we're going to be able to attack. See if there's anything I want to do. We can move some banners around here. There's a pretty good mix of banners. And I like this banner, right? Even though we're facing archers here. In fact, because we're facing archers, right? Let's choose an appropriate banner. Infantry division, right? He's going to be getting shot at and attacked by enemy infantry. So I would prefer going over to here. I sort by value. That way your best banners are on the top. And I want this or fulcrum. What's it called? I guess we don't have it. What I want is reduction to melee or range damage. You know what? Let's be an infantry tank, right? He wants to be an infantry tank. We'll take... is that the best one we have, I guess? Yeah. Decrease taken melee attack damage. Now we can stand in a square like a man and handle the onslaught of these hundreds of infantrymen that are going to attack us, right? You're here for tactical enlightenment. We got ourselves a battle for this episode, and this will probably conclude this second episode. Like I said, I'm going to try to break these into manageable pieces. We will do relatively simplistic tactics here. Now, right away, instantly, you see a battlefield like this, you see the slope. start towards your left. You want to be uphill if at all possible, even if that means slightly, right? So we're going to do that. We're also just going to do a very simple organization of his units here. 2 archer divisions. We have so few cons guards, it doesn't really matter. Honestly, they could just be sent to charge. How should we do this? Let's do what I'm used to. That way we don't have a debacle here and lose. Let's see also what his forces look like, right? At the beginning of a battle, this is what I just talked about, right? You have this time now to sort of step back and look at your troops and say, okay, what do we got here? Right now, if the power bar was significantly favoring the enemy, I would spend a long time doing this because I don't want to lose this battle for this guy, right? We'd have to try to retreat and hope we didn't get captured by somebody else. In this instance here, we're going to take another 30 seconds here. So decreased. Here's our infantry captain, right? This guy decreased taken melee attack damage 15%, and he looks unbeatable, right? That guy looks incredible. We will put his primary guy on the skirmishers, right? He has throwing weapons, and we've got all kinds of archers, right? I remember these gals are archers, and decreased taken ranged attack damage. They've got pretty good banners. Decreased taken ranged attack damage. And I think that's a pretty good mix. Now let's very quickly look at his units, right? First division here. We are using the RTS command system, so on some level I'll be able to walk you guys through the battle. Just looking for shields. This is going to be a square. We're going to play defense with these guys. We don't need them to be elite infantry, but we need them to have a shield. Units that don't have a shield don't square very well, right? And we don't want this division to be huge either. Your total infantry, I would say a third, no more. Hit that button that locks it off. You can see what it looks like. Nice little square. Right now we've got 2 different attacking divisions. We've got a shock troop division here in the third. These guys will have a mix. Whoa, sorry. Hopefully nobody just threw up. In fact, it's almost all shock troops. Beautiful, right? That's absolutely beautiful. And then the 6th division should be mostly shields because they're skirmishers. And what I see in there is a lot of zerkers, but I see some skirmishers, right? Now you'll say some guys will say put your skirmishers on this side because the enemy has shields in their left hand. I don't find it to be dramatically different, but it can help you a little bit. I don't typically do that because it disorients me. So just another tip though that I want to toss into you guys. 2 archer divisions, and we're going to move them dynamically. The enemy has archers, but I think we have at least a comparable amount, and we're going to use ours better than the AI will. All right, so 6th division here. I'm also going to hold fire with the 6th division because I don't need them throwing 300 javelins at the very first horse they see. And this 2nd division, I'm not sure if I want to use them or not. I think we're going to get rid of it. I do more advanced tactics where we have a secondary square to essentially distract a lot from the enemy, right? They will pound the hell out of your troops if you don't have protection for your shock troops, but we're going to try to navigate this without. And I'll walk you through it, but we're basically putting archers uphill, right? Now we want to put our archers at different locations. So the archers go over there, and then another archer division just here in the center. I just want them holding the center of the line. That way we have a good ranged exchange with the enemy. And the horse archers, frankly, they can just stand there. It looks like they're all cons guards. All right, now we have the RTS mod. I'm going to use it extensively here. I'm trying to think if I want to fight this out or not. I think this battle, we're just going to fight on the field. It feels more manly this way. Now the enemy is taking a defensive position. We're actually just fine with that. They're doing that because they think they have a ranged advantage, right? They think they have enough archers essentially to outshoot us. Well, they're not gonna. I don't think. We'll see. Now we're moving up at angles. There's a lot of different reasons you do that. One of the primary reasons you move at angles is because the AI is not very good at putting up multiple divisions in multiple places. So if they have shields and you can't really see them through the forest, but if they have their shields up and you have troops on their side, flanking fire, a lot of the arrows are going to miss their shields because their shields simply won't be faced in that direction. Hopefully that makes sense. Now these archers here, we're moving up, right? We've got the 4th division over there and then the 5th division of archers here. This is why we have 2 archer divisions. The shield walls, or in this case the skirmishers holding up their shields, either in line or in shield wall. right? Those are the two formations you generally want units when they're being shot. Now, these guys are in a square. That's because I don't want to change their formation. They're just going to be fire and forget this whole battle. They're going to be there for infantry when the infantry charges, when cavalry charges, etc. Now, you guys can't see it, but I'm moving that archer division into the trees towards the enemy. Now, the enemy should have cavalry. They don't have very many. In fact, it's so few, we're not worried about it. If the enemy had 80 or 100 cavalry over there, I'd be concerned about it. But with so few, I just don't care at all. Moving in, right? You're just doing this systematically. And you're keeping an eye on the death spam. The reason you're watching the death spam is if all of a sudden there's a huge flush of red, you need to figure out why, right? We've got defensive units here. The archers are behind the shield walls. We've got defensive divisions here. The archers are, again, behind troops that can absorb arrows better than them. If you're suffering a lot of losses here, there's a reason. There's a problem, right? You want to assess that and try to fix it. Now, the enemy eventually is going to engage us in melee. Whether or not we charge or whether or not they charge is still to be seen. It sort of depends on how much damage the enemy takes, etc. When that happens, we want them attacking this. This is our first division. They're in a square. They're playing defense. That is what we want for this battle. That is our plan. See those cavalry over there? You might as well use the rock, right? We can tuck our 6th division right by this rock. Now that they're getting close, too, these guys can be told to fire. Not quite yet, but we're going to have those guys open fire. The reason you do that, of course, is that this way they're firing javelins into the enemy's ranks. Now, it's probably hard for you guys to see what I just did. I just started to push our infantry at a line. The reason I'm doing that is because I want our archers to rush up and have a nice line of sight right into the enemy's ranks.
Infantry, move!
Now here, this infantry is now close enough. Fire, right? I like line formation, 4 skirmishers, and I like to push them a little closer. That way they're moving forward and chucking thousands of throwing axes into the enemy's ranks, right? The enemy archers are now getting drilled with javelins and throwing axes. We're mindful of their cavalry over there, but these are men. You don't have to worry about your infantry getting a few cavalry charges, right? These guys can handle it. On the far side, we don't want to forget about our shock troops. They're essential for this battle, but we also don't want them close because I don't want them shot and killed by javelins, right? They're very vulnerable to enemy javelins. I'm also charging with the archers over there, which might alarm you, but trust me, it makes sense. Those archers over there are our best archers. A lot of them have shields, and when they're out of ammo, I want them fighting. We're Nords after all, right? These are men, not pussies. Skirmishers moving in, throwing javelins, and the enemy's getting close to a tango here, right? An infantry battle, an infantry collision is imminent. Let's call the 3rd troop. The 3rd division over there is our shock troops. They're now on the enemy flank. The 6th division here, skirmishers, are on the enemy flank. The square is towards the center, right? We want them attacking the square because we are attacking the enemy's flanks. Now, you can charge here, but it's also nice to say charge and hold fire. And what'll happen is these guys will dump one last javelin into the enemy and then rush up and kill everything in sight. You can make an argument also for doing that with your archers, because at this stage, a lot of these guys are standing there. You see that guy just holding up his shit? I think you can say just charge. Right? They come roaring up. And even though the power bar was theoretically sort of favorable to the enemy here, they are getting absolutely pulverized. We can get some throwing axe work in here as these forces are surrounded and destroyed by our Nordic forces. Notice the arrows whizzing over my shoulder here. That's because we intentionally left the center of the map, the center of our formations, open for our archers to rake. Charge with the cons guards at this stage. There's an argument to be made for just keeping the cons guards back, right? Protect them. I got no problem with that. If you want to keep your cons guards back in this situation, it makes sense to me. It's eminently reasonable. Lots of archers here, right? We're still fighting down here. I would recommend with your main character, you just pull back. Don't get shot to death. Let your troops finish off the Northern Empire, and then eventually they can come up here and help you. Especially if you're on the console or something like that, where you're going to take huge damage and then the AI might take over. Although you console fellas got the changes too, right? I say the two-handed axe. It's a two-handed axe and a one-handed axe. That's cool. I haven't used it very much. I'm just whipping it out here at the end of this battle. You get a little two-handed axe. Of course, I'm all about beating on peasant archers, right? I feel like that's a unit we can handle. And this battle's not just over, it's a rout, right? We've just pulverized this Northern Empire force, calling them dogs as we slash and hack them to pieces. They're panicking. Our Nord force just mauls everything in sight. And we have some casualties, but that is a very, very acceptable result for fighting a defensive enemy when we're outnumbered, and theoretically they had more archers than us. I say that because that's why they took that defensive stance. We get some more benefits here for Bjorn. I think he said his son was named Bjorn. Maybe I'm not supposed to say that shit. Too late. You guys always, with the Disaster of War series, you guys can be as specific as you want to what you want me to omit. If you want me to not even show your email, I'll do that. If you want me to not even mention your email and just run with your game, I'm happy to do that. Right? We're going to honor your guys' privacy. So this guy's address and phone number will be placed in the video description. You guys can dox him all you like. His son goes to Jansen Elementary School in 64127 Denmark, Stockholm Road. Having some fun here. Because victory is sweet, right? We whipped the bastards! And we got to send troops here to catch the rest of this scum. Come with us, right? And this is two major battles that we're starting to swing this guy's campaign. Now, let's see. We want a few prisoners here. Not too many because we don't want to be encumbered. And let's take a few skirmishers. Those will be nice for later on. And a good spot here for us to wrap up this second episode. 40 upgrades, right? Things are looking good. Things are looking really good. Now, influence, right? We talked about that before the battle started. 300 influence, right? Away we go here. We get some decent loot, but honestly, at this stage, we've already been to the medieval Louis Vuitton here, right? We're looking spiffy. That battle, this guy was barely even scratched. He's got some great equipment. And you got a great campaign, Malvior. Things look good, dude. I'm telling you, man, this is going to be quick. We're going to be able to turn your campaign around in a hurry. I may edit some portions of this, but I think before too long here, we're going to aim to take a city, right? We're going to get this guy ripping. He's going to be making money. He's already profitable here. We're upgrading troops. We're going to go recruit some Nordlings. We've got Afro Nord units with us here, so things look good. Now, if you want to see more from this Disaster of War series, please subscribe. Of course, if you want to submit, especially, I want to put this here at the end. I should have put it at the beginning. If you have a naval battle that you can't win or that it's really difficult, send it in. I'm not very good at naval battles, but I'm going to get good, right? Especially if you guys send in difficult challenges. If you got interesting battles with the DLC, especially with the Nords, please send them in. If you've got a routine siege defense at Baron Castle, please watch some of our guides and handle it yourself, friends. All right. Thanks again for watching to this stage. Please hit that like and hype button on the way out. I love you, fellas. Malvior, I love you, dude. We're going to help you out, brother. And with all that said, I will see you, friends, next time.